afternoon, Jerry Wallace here. This is another part of our blog on our cancer diagnosis journey that some of you have been following along on. And we've had so many people asking how we're doing and where we are in this whole journey. And we're so thankful for the care and concern. I want to show you some beautiful little cards I got here today. Some cartoons, would you believe it or not? Friends of ours, look at that beautiful cartoon. Wow. Let's do a little roundup real quick. Try and give you a little fast synopsis of last journey. They had given us a diagnosis of saying, well, cancer had gotten too far and we had an emergency. I had to go to the hospital. Pain had broke out, so very severe. Winchester Hospital emergency. They did more tests and rushed me to the hospital in Ottawa. Surgeon and doctor after. You can see a picture here going to show you of all these beautiful surgeons who come in the room. And they said your bowel has perforated, the cancer has created a blockage, and you were too sure food was going to get through, and the pain came from the infection that had leaked into your bowels, into your stomach lining, and they basically said this undone will kill you. And so they said, we have a choice you're going to have to make. So they brought all these surgeons in the room. I had my son Daniel with me and Bonnie, and they said, here's what your choice is. We can operate on this and try and go in and close that perforation, but if we open you all up, we're just not too sure all the cancer that is around, if we can get in there and actually sew you up. And even if we do sew you up, there's no help for your cancer. You're beyond any kind of therapy or whatsoever. And you might have a little while to live, a few days, maybe a week, or you may die on the operating table. They wanted me to do the surgery right away that morning, and they came in early, and they said the other way you can do it is just leave it alone, and we'll bombard it with antibiotics. And you can see I'm still hooked up here with antibiotics every day, getting a heavy dose of it. Leave it alone, let the antibiotics try and take care of the infection, and maybe you'll have at least a better quality of end-of-life days. So basically they were saying, I haven't got very long to live, we're going to die. Well, that was a whole lot of different, little chemotherapy, a little operation, you'll be back on your feet. But that wasn't the synopsis we were getting. It was Valley of Death. It got pretty dark, got really close. And in fact, it was coming to the end. We're going to kick you out of the hospital here. There's nothing more we can do. And so they sent us back to Winchester. And then we were in what they call palliative care, end of time, looking for possibly a hospice to spend our last hours and days. So we had time, clarity of mind Amy made this emergency trip all the way home from a holiday in Africa with her husband, long trip. And Jennifer rushed home from from Pekanchikam, from her school. They gave her time off. I got all my family. Got to show you this picture of all the family together in the room with us. What a wonderful time we had. Reminiscing, of course, we were thinking this is the end. This is the last days with Dad, tears and hugs and, so many times of laughter and remembering good times. Had a good friend of ours, John Cinnamon, was just visiting the hospital that day. And we said, well, what if we go home and get a bed? And he said, I know somebody right here in Winchester who's got a bed. And we phoned and got this. I'm sitting in this beautiful hospital bed. It's got buttons and makes me up and go up and down right here in my own home. Get to watch my beautiful wife moving around, making food and taking care of me. She's feeding me booster juice. Wow, power drinks, and taking care of me so well. Here we are at home, kind of like facing the end, but something happens in the midst of all this, we're back home, we get a call, here we are, we get a call from the General Hospital Cancer Institute. And they said, we have an appointment for you. And we were like, you missed it. We've been to the hospital. They already kicked us out. It's too late for any kind of stuff like that. It's over and out. We're done. And they said, we actually put them off, and they phoned us back again. They said, no, your name has been referred to the cancer doctor here, specialized cancer doctor. And he wants you to come in here, and he wants to look at you and talk to you. We're like, what? Cancer? What do you, is this, we're kind of dumbfounded. Was this we're in this dark valley, we're coming to the end, perhaps going to see Jesus soon, and now this little light piercing through this dark tunnel, this Cancer Institute, got in there, and the doctor comes in, and he says, this is a melanoma cancer. You got this from your skin. I had some skin spots on my head. I went to a dermatologist and everything and had them taken care of. But he said this all started from a skin cancer and went down into your lungs and went into spread very quickly into your bowels. It's blonde-haired, freckle-faced people. So you may make sure you get your children checked. So then he says, there's a new therapy called immune therapy. And so I think you're a good candidate. He said, I think 30 to 35% chance of this immune therapy. And wow, I thought, well, 30 to 35% chance wasn't a really high chance, but not like 75 or 50, but still, hey, he said, you're a candidate and we want to start this therapy. So we left the hospital. This Wednesday is my first shot of this immune therapy. It basically takes about an hour, and I basically do an IV injection. And what it does is it goes in and it tears away the defense system of the cancer that makes a code and says the white cells are blood cells that are fighters, that are killers. Don't leave us, just leave us alone, we're normal. And what this immune therapy goes in and it blasts those cancer cells and takes away their defense. White blood cells come in and they fight against it. He said we're going to do one every month for the next 3 months or something. I was thinking of months. I didn't think I had weeks to live, let alone months. Wow, what a journey, what a ride, what an adventure. Woohoo! It's kind of like, I don't know, like riding a roller coaster, up and down, or woo, we're going down, woo, now we're up at the top. Yeah! Well, maybe not that kind of adventure, but sometimes the roller coaster got pretty low, hanging on pretty tight. Yeah, we're all gonna die. It says that, that we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, shall fear no evil, and it says, I will be with thee. I will be with thee. In other words, whether we go through the journey and we come to the end, and we don't know what tomorrow, it says he'll be with us. I'll just close with this simple little illustration that I heard a long time ago about the valley of the shadow of death. The shepherds would lead their sheep through this valley. I looked it up on the internet, and you can actually find the valley of the shadow of death, a very deep, cavernous place. Sun can't get at it, and it's shadows all through it. And the shepherd would lead them along these narrow little paths, and they were very narrow. The sheep would have to go single file. And there was a place in this valley of the shadow of death, now listen to this, that the shepherd would have to put 1 foot on one side and a foot on the other side, and he'd have to pick up those sheep one at a time and take them across to the other side. Think about that. Every little sheep and shepherd that came to that edge of that cliff had to say, shepherd, take me across this dangerous cavern, because without you holding me and taking me across, I'll fall, I'll fail. And those sheep would come trusting their shepherd, trusting him, like they had all through the green valleys and by the streams and in the presence of their enemies. And here was this journey, and he would pick up those little sheep and hold them in his arms and lift them across safely, and they would journey on. It's not a beautiful picture for us, regardless where we are in our life. The shepherd cares for us so dearly. Wherever you are in your journey, he cares for you. Whatever dark valley you're going through, and wherever spots that seem impassable, you think, how can I make it across? It's too dark. What's the next step? Well, we'll call on that shepherd, say, Shepherd Jesus, you are the only one. You can lift us up and carry us across safely, whether it's into a place of healing or whether it's the place of being with him eternally in heaven. Thank you for being with us today. Bye.
On a summer's day when the wind is blowing through the trees and the sky above me is so blue, birds are singing in the air, flowers are blooming everywhere. I am so glad my Father cares for me. He gave me sky. He sent his own beloved Son to die. He took away my fears and he washed away my lonely tears. I'm so glad my Father cares for me. I can't imagine what I'd ever do without the Lord. I don't know what this world would ever do. I guess I would always live in sorrow. I could never face tomorrow. I am so glad my